supported by Commissioner Clerk Coleman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Next item.
C, old business, there is none.
All right. Next item.
Item D1, under new business, communication from Steve Mullen, Director, Department of Personnel, Human Resources, forwarding a status update on the Department of Personnel, Human Resources progress with implementing a succession plan for the senior appointee positions.
Okay, thank you. As I think I did see Mr. Malin on the line. Would you like to speak on this item briefly?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot I could say about it. Is there a specific question that I can answer about it, or do you want just a general status that was covered in that memo, or how would you like to Chair Dobb?
I guess we can just open it up to any commissioner questions first. And I can't see everyone, so if you have one, just speak up. I'm not going to go by raising hands. Okay, so no questions, but can you just give us a general overview of what the succession plan is?
Sure. So we are a little bit behind the 8 ball. As I mentioned in the update memo, this has been impacted by COVID-19, obviously. We did have a technology vendor that we partnered with, Bullseye, that would give us a lot more technology than what we can do off of Excel spreadsheets. And unfortunately, that we were working on getting that implemented. That was going to be a bridge until Oracle is live with phase 4, which should be probably now in 2022, where that will have functionality with succession planning and performance management, some of the other things we were going to use Bullseye for as a bridge until the ERP is up and running. And so, however, when we were doing budgets, that Bullseye contract, we didn't get it implemented before the holiday break last year. And then going into early 2020, we were confronted with needing to decide on whether to, first we shut down, so we couldn't get it implemented before we shut down for COVID. And then that contract was up for renewal, and right around the same time we were doing a budget, preparing for the budgets for 2021. And so you might recall the original budget had a 12% reduction that we had to hit. And so there were a couple of factors, including cost, where we felt like we couldn't renew that contract. So we never really got to implement the Bullseye technology because we had to sever that contract and a couple others to meet our budget requirements. Now, the budgets obviously ended up being a 5% reduction plan, not 12, but we still would have had to cut that contract in lieu of cutting headcount out of the PHR budget, and we're already severely understaffed. So with that all said, we are making progress on ways that I've described this in the past. We do have a list. We've identified the top senior appointee positions in the county that we'd be succession planning for. We have that at 56 positions and incumbents. And ultimately, we also have a pool that we've identified that would be sort of the feeder group pool of potential positions into those. And again, some of that is structural, as you know, at the county. As an example, I mean by structural feeder groups, a deputy CFO is should be a natural feeder group into the CFO position. And you see that you have deputy chief positions and things like that. So we have those positions identified and other potential feeder groups just from looking at org charts and whatnot. And that group right now sits at about, and I'll call those high potentials. Those would be individuals that we would be looking to perhaps create individualized development plans for, to be successors into these higher level of 56 positions. We have about 109 of those folks identified, and we'll just call them high potentials for lack of another term. And then, so the process we're going to be following it will be that my head of engagement division, that's a division that has just Heidi Barson as a division top and one other person that was furloughed but came back after the furlough. So it's a 2-person division, but she will be, amongst other things, on top of training and doing her Wayne State leadership, a bunch of other things. She's going to be working on meeting individually with each of those 56 key positions to garner and what would come out of those meetings, it'd be a longer session to understand way beyond a job description that has things like minimum qualifications, to understand what sort of nuanced skill sets, what kind of targeted experience, years of experience in certain areas are needed, and so forth. And when we have those sessions with each of those jobs, we will come out of that with creating success profiles for those jobs, which are much more detailed. And from those success profiles, when we go back and look at individuals that are in the high potential pool, there might be 2 or 3 or 4 individuals that are earmarked as potentials to replace a certain position. We will then work with those individuals to see where they are against the success profile and work to create, along with their department head or whatever, to create individualized development plans. Those development plans could be anywhere from additional leadership and skills training to specialized projects, to stretch assignments, to job shadowing, to cross training, things like that, to prepare someone, get them the right experience, to better prepare them to close the skill gaps and to accelerate their readiness for those key positions. And along the way, for both pools, we also, very importantly, will be doing a risk assessment to understand, where do we have individuals that are either already announced that they're going to retire or are retirement ready, because that puts those at a higher priority. There might be other positions besides retirement that would put those positions at risk. It might be positions or individuals that have very specific Wayne County knowledge, and perhaps that knowledge has not been passed on for various reasons. I mean, you might think about a Kevin Haney situation, someone who had very specialized and exceptional knowledge, and for many reasons, perhaps because they're too busy and so forth, haven't passed that knowledge on to others. We have those situations. You might have situations where a skill set is an extremely short supply that puts a position at risk. You might think of someone like a Scott Vandermergel and assessments and his area to know that that's a very, very specialized job, not easy to find in the labor market, let alone here at the county. And so there's also a process in place to assess those levels of risk that we would have to prioritize and address in a more targeted way. The other thing would be that when we have those individual sessions with the key positions that we're succession planning for, through that we'll get more insights as to who should perhaps be in that high potential pool, who shouldn't be. I mentioned that some of what we've done preliminarily is based on just feeder groups and who would logically move into something. But as you can imagine, we might find out from talking to one of those people in a key position that no, an individual, so-and-so individual is actually not performing well. We wouldn't necessarily be aware of their performance or there's performance deficiencies. If there were, that's not someone we'd want to have at this point in time, and develop them to succeed. We'd want to be addressing those deficiencies and get them to performing at a satisfactory and above level, as an example. So coming out of those sessions, as well as the success profile, would be a lot more additional insights as to who really should be, who should we be refining out of that high potential pool, and that might change the names and the people that are in that pool. Some people might put into that pool, some people might be taken out of that pool. And so that's but unfortunately, we're short on resources, we're short on technology. Once we do have technology, being able to track and monitor individual development plans and manage some of these risk factors and have enhanced reporting and analysis will be something that technology will allow us to do to augment the short resources we have on this. So that's a general overview of our approach and where we are. how we plan to get at this. And again, having said all that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions that come to mind from anybody.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Coleman, did you have a question?
Yes, Chair Dobbs. Let me ask you something. So this succession program that you had, you said there are 56 positions in here. Are these all like department heads under the county executive?
Yeah, so the types of positions that are in that group are going to be department heads, C-level jobs, deputy, chiefs jobs, deputy chief jobs across the county, right? And I will say the one exception is you might imagine, the actual elected officials themselves being elected are not in that group, but people beneath them are. And then also, obviously, yourselves as commissioners, elected officials are not, because obviously through other political and election means are how those jobs get selected, not through a succession plan and the development that we're doing. Those are who's in that group of 56.
So are you saying, for instance, the county clerk wouldn't be in there, but are you saying that the deputies beneath her would be in that group?
Yeah, they could be perhaps identified for a number of jobs. There are times where people can be in more than one earmarked for other jobs other than the ones that's straight up above them. So yes, the answer to that question is that's correct. Madam Clerk would not be in that group of 56, but some of those key people in the clerk's office would be.
Now, are these people in this succession plan, are they currently serving in those roles, like are they deputies or assistants, and et cetera, or are you just preparing them to move into those even though they don't carry the title?
Right, so that group of 56, I'm saying, would be the ones that we're succession planning for. And so by saying that as an example, that Madam Clerk's not in there, but some of the other, the chief jobs are. So what we're saying is that's a level that we're succession planning for. That's the group we'll have a deeper dive with to understand the success profile. And then what we're going to do is identify other folks in the county that could be in the succession that need to be developed, that are high potentials to move into those second tier positions. Or an example, a department head is both a job that we are that we are succession planning for. So there might be division directors or others that would be have development plans to potentially go to a department director job, and that department director might also be in someone to be developed for a higher level position above them. So some of those people are actually in both. They're landing in that top job, but they're also potentially could be themselves looking at higher level jobs.
So, okay, so it's clear. You've clarified it. So that means that a person who potentially might be working for the clerk's office might possibly be considered for positions even though that's an elected official, could be considered for some of the department heads or deputies and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they could go to, maybe they're a key person been there, but they end up going to a key job at the treasurer's office, even though they're in the clerk's office. But again, reading them, and this is where that technology, there's a thing called a 9-box. Again, it's not something you could do on Excel, but it's something that Oracle allows us to do. It's something that Bullseye would have allowed us to do. And this is where, again, because it gets complicated in that someone, as you can imagine, might have opportunities to be developed for a couple of potential different jobs. And as I said, their individuals are both that they can be developed for high level jobs, and we're developing others for their key job. And so it does get a little complicated that way. But yeah, so we're trying to maximize development opportunities and get individuals ready. But again, very importantly, I can't stress this enough, to understand where we are having some real liability or some real risk that we can identify, where perhaps maybe today we're missing some of those things and not realizing. I'll say as an example, someone like a Kevin Haney, you know, because there's also something called readiness, where when Kevin mentioned he was going to retire, very specialized job. Not only were there not a lot of SOPs or standard operating procedures, maybe should have been put down, but there's a knowledge up in his head. But there was also the fact that there was really no one in M&B that was ready now, right? So when I talk about readiness, we'll also be tracking whether or not someone is 1 year out from a key job, or maybe they're 2 years out, or maybe they're 5 years out from a key job. Well, if someone announces their retirement and the next person is 5 years out, you're gonna have to go to the outside to bring someone in until those other folks can be developed. And that's what we ended up doing, actually, by hiring a Kelly Rao who spent 6 months with Kevin, and a lot of that knowledge was transferred. Now, unfortunately, so maybe also an example, demonstrates another risk, which is Kelly ultimately, then all that got transferred. Kelly had all that time with Kevin. Kevin retires, and then ultimately there were some issues there, and there was an expiration of Kelly Rao's contract. Part and parcel of why Kevin Haney came back and the role that he did was because of all that. So, I mean, there's always risk, but that's an example of what I'm talking about, is knowing that someone is close to retirement, and yet the closest person that is ready for that job is several years out. We need to know if that's the case.
Okay, so, well, that's good, because what it says is that you don't necessarily have to be working in that department to succeed into a position.
100%. And it's a living document. So some people, every year we'd look at that. So because performance does have to factor in. And so that group of, say, 109 high potentials, that's always being assessed. And frankly, people will come onto that list that weren't. Other people, perhaps maybe for performance or something, might come off of that list, or at least for a time being come off of that list. And so that's a very static living document that's continually being monitored and assessed.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that this was good information, because I just assumed that if you are appointed by an elected official, that the only growth that you could achieve would be within that elected official's employment. But this tells me that no, that you can certainly look outside of, even if you're an elected official, you can look out to one of the departments or one of the other elected officials, or et cetera. And that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, not only that, but you're underscoring another key retention point, which is to say you can maximize anybody's career path, excuse me, instead of just saying, oh, I really only have a path one way. I just saw someone just got promoted in that. So guess what? I'm blocked out of that key job for the next 5 or 6 or 10 years. Mm-hmm. So to the extent that people can see various paths forward in any organization, that's really key, because everybody wants to progress and promote and earn more income. And so the more opportunities folks have for that, the better you're able to retain them within an organization, rather than feeling like they're blocked off the path and have no choice but to go to the outside and move on.
Right. Good. Thank you. Okay. Very informative.
Thank you. Good question.
Any other questions from commissioners? All right. Thank you, Mr. Malin. This is definitely very important, and I think Commissioner Clark Coleman, said all of my remarks in that. I think this is great in that we're reaching out to the employees and having that direct contact with them in order to make sure that they will succeed and will retain that talent within Wayne County. So thank you.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
I move approval.
Thank you. So receive file.
Did you hear?
Yes. So motion to receive and file from Commissioner Clark Coleman. Do I have a second?
Basham.
And a support from Commissioner Basham. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 2, communication from Karan Pinkins, Chairman of the Wayne County Ethics Board, forwarding the 2020 year report of the Wayne County Ethics Board.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone here to speak on this item?
This is Joe, Joe Slezak. Mr. Pinkins and the attorney, Mr. Williams, were unable to attend. I did let them know, but they're unable to attend. And this is just a recap essentially of the 2020 calendar year, which is, this recap is required by the reports required by the ethics ordinance, and it was approved by the ethics board last week, Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to receive and file this item?
So moved.
Support.
Yes, to receive and file.
All right, we have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of modification 4 to a 2-year contract with a 6-month option to renew with Zosmer PC.
Okay, and then this is for a contract regarding the criminal justice complex. Is there someone to speak on this item?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, James Heath, Corporation Counsel. Just would request your consideration for this contract. As all of you know, especially those who have been participating in the CJC Special Committee, the role that the Zosmer Law Firm plays in helping the county go through the many issues related to the project. Those of you who were here from the onset know the central role they played in drafting the definitive agreement, but they also play a large role in our continued negotiations and discussions with ROC on literally every issue that we face. I don't think that there's a day that goes by that either Matt McNaughton, who's the principal attorney working on the matter, or Chris Merritt, who's also working with us, every day they're in contact with the county or other stakeholders related to this project. And I probably should not say this while they're on the phone, but I will tell you that they are probably our most efficient biller. When you look at the time that they spend and what the county ends up paying. And so, I can't sing their praises enough in how they assist the county and our department in moving through these issues. And so I'd ask this committee to approve the contract extension. I will assure you that at some point we will be finished with this project. We're on track for the fourth quarter of 2022, and at some point I will stop asking you to approve modifications for the law firm. But at this point, they are extremely valuable to us, and I ask that you approve the contract modification.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Heath. Just one question for me. Can you just remind us when the CJC is expected to be completed and opened up?
Yeah, so we're anticipating the fall of 2022, Madam Chair, for substantial completion. And we at this point, I think our estimate is that we are approximately 43% complete with the project. That was the report that we gave to Commissioner Anderson's committee about a week ago. And so, we are working through all of our issues. Things are progressing, as well as can be expected. And so, so far, so good.
All right, great, thank you. Any questions or discussion from commissioners? All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Support.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Clark Coleman, supported by Commissioner Basham. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. And Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 4, requesting commission approval of retroactive modification 1 to a 2-year contract with Jacobs and Deemer PC.
Thank you. Who's here to speak on this item, please?
Hi, Madam Chair, it's Paul O'Neill, Assistant Corporation Counsel.
Okay, thank you. Can you just give us a brief overview of this modification?
Sure. We've been involved in a series of cases. This is the third case brought by this attorney for alleged unconstitutional searches in the Wayne County Jail. We've defeated the three of them on, by our motion practice. This one, it's gone a little further because of the procedural kind of status in the procedural posture of the case. And it's pending in the federal district court. Judge Tarnow granted a motion last January, actually almost a year ago today, to certify a class in this, or four actually subclasses in this case. If you're familiar with class actions, that would mean numerous, we'd go from the 4 named plaintiffs to potentially hundreds, if not thousands of plaintiffs who would be members of the class seeking compensation from Wayne County. We fought that class action, the class certification district court. When Judge Tarnow granted that motion, we thought we had good grounds to seek leave to appeal. It's called an interlocutory appeal. While the case is pending in district court, the trial court, we asked the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals to review the ruling and see if they would take our appeal, our interlocutory, on an interlocutory basis. There are some deadlines for that, so we had to do that very quickly after the ruling by Judge Tarnow. So we did file the application for leave to appeal, and it's really an extraordinary remedy that the appeals court kind of saves for certain special cases, and it did grant our application for leave to appeal. Tim Deemer from the firm Jacobson Deemer, right here in the Guardian building, helped us with the application for leave to appeal. He got very quickly up to speed on the case, and once that leave for appeal was granted, we thought it best to retain Tim to help us file our briefing in the Sixth Circuit, as well as help us prepare oral argument in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, which we expect to happen relatively soon. So that's the background, and I'd be happy to ask any questions.
Okay, thank you. I can see that Commissioner Basham has his hand up.
Thank you,
okay.
Madam Chair. I usually have my hand up when it's a retroactive contract. And I guess if you know this is ongoing and you know that I'm not saying they're not doing wonderful work and all that, but I just question, retroactive contracts. And if you needed to move it forward, why wouldn't you ask for extra approval or something like that? So my question is, why does it have to be retroactive?
Yeah, I see that the first contract was for $35,000, and that the firm had billed up until this month, or January, $27,000. So, I think that as soon as we got the application for leave to appeal granted, we moved forward and got the process started. I can't explain why we're here in January.
And I guess if I may, and that's my point. So if you got it started, who's to follow the item to make sure that we move it as fast as we can move it to make sure that it's not retroactive? So somebody from the department should be pursuing this thing. And if you have to hustle along, there's this mechanism called extra approval, and that wasn't done. And so here we have another retroactive contract. So, I have a problem with retroactive contracts.
Commissioner Basham, James Heath, and I can step in on that and let you know that, the department, and specifically me, will accept the blame for that. We, at the time we initially contracted with the firm, we were not sure exactly of the scope that they were going to be doing in terms of the continued work. And, the reality of it is that we kind of got caught up with the with the holiday and some other things, and the approval just came from my chair later than it should have, and I accept responsibility for that. And we do strive not to have any of our contracts to be retroactive, but this is one that did fall in that category. And so your point is well taken, and we certainly strive not to have that be the case.
And if I may, Madam Chair, this will probably pass, but just stay consistent. I'm probably going to vote against this. Not that it's not needed, but the retroactive part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to just add on to that. And you probably said this in your overview, but when was the leave to appeal filed?
It was filed in February of last year, February 6th.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, is there any other questions or discussion from commissioners? Okay, can I get a motion to approve this item?
I move it. You might have to second it yourself.
Any support? I will support this item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I'll abstain. That's the best I can do right now.
Okay. Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 5, requesting approval of retroactive Amendment 1 to a cooperative purchase agreement with CDW Government.
Okay, I believe this is an IT contract for some hardware and software. Is there anyone who is here to speak on this item?
Yes, I am. Tori Woods. I'm the contract manager for Department of Information Technology.
Okay, welcome. Do you just want to give us a brief overview of this contract?
Sure. The Department of Information Technology regularly has a number of requirements for hardware, software maintenance that we have to acquire. Typically, we acquire them through the CDW blanket, which is what we are seeking approval for. Among the items that we utilize this blanket for, they include, as I said, hardware, software, such as antiviruses, security products, firewalls, etc. So we are seeking to extend the term to September 30th, 2023, and add funding to continue those purchases. It's currently retroactive from our term 10/1/2020 to 9/30/2023, mostly in large part due to staffing changes within our department.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Basham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, if you know you're going to be using this software, then why does it have to be retroactive?
Well, of course, our intention was to have this completed in a timely manner, but with the internal staffing changes associated with the COVID-19 and the responses and the demands, the layoffs, et cetera, we were down to one contract manager, and it was quite a load. And so we're trying to maintain as best as possible.
Okay, and having said that, if you know that you're trying to get it done as fast as possible and you don't have the manpower, why wouldn't you approach the chair of the commission and ask for extra approval?
Because we were actively working on the contract, and to get it moved through the process, I don't think there was any urgent requirements that would deem us inefficient that we were purchasing through this blanket. And so we opted to move it through the process just because, there were more urgent things I'm sure we had to request emergency or extended approval on.
Commissioner, this is Carlos Perez, head of IT. I apologize, I was on mute earlier. This again is a blanket purchase order that covers quite a wide range of hardware even and software. It's not like we were receiving services through this contract during the time that we're talking about. There's also another issue, and Tori spoke well about internal resources being a problem, but there's another issue that was playing a factor, which is all of the requests for CARES Act dollars and IT spend according to that. So there was an influx of work and contracts necessary, a deficiency in resources, and we missed the boat, and we do take responsibility for it. We did ask for a number of contracts to be performed in exigent, and this one just didn't make it, and it's on us at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if I may, Madam Chair, I'm just, you know, I understand it needs to go forward, but I'm just trying to send a strong message that this one commissioner is opposed to retroactive contracts, if at all possible. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any support? All right, I'll support this item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay, thank you. All right, motion passes. Okay, next item, Madam Chair, or Madam Clerk.
E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Okay, I don't have any. Next item, please.
Public comments.
Okay, did we receive any emails?
No, we haven't received any emails.
Okay, would you please take everyone off of mute?
Well,
So we are unmuting all lines. If there's any member of the public who would like to make a comment, once you've been unmuted, or you can unmute yourself, please speak up and you may make your comment at this time. Any member of the public who wishes to make a comment? Is there anyone from the public who wishes to make a comment? All right, hearing none, we will move on to the next item.
Adjournment.
Can I get a motion to
so
adjourn?
move. So move.
Support.
Motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.